I have something to tell you that I think is going to send you off into the shilling stratosphere.
Yeah.
And that is Shedeur Sanders has the best touchdown pass of training camp to date. And it happened yesterday.
I mean, and again, that doesn't surprise me. I still believe, and I've had this intuition since prior to April in the NFL draft when I was campaigning for the Browns to draft this dude at number 2 overall of the 4 quarterbacks that they employ. And if you want to count Deshaun Watson as the 5th, Shedeur Sanders still has the highest ceiling of all of these dudes. So I've seen every single angle of that touchdown pass to Luke Floria, my guy from Kent State.
Yep.
It doesn't surprise me at all that was the most impressive play thus far.
So, yeah, I wish I had better news to report as far as where things stand, but it gets tougher from here. The pads go on tomorrow.
Yep.
That's when the rubber starts meeting the road when it comes to practices, and it comes to really evaluating how the offensive line, the defensive line is working, these quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett's getting a lot of first-team reps. We're going to get into who's getting reps with who and things like that. But, yeah, we're 4 practices into this thing, and I see red flags everywhere. And that's not to say things can't change, but I'm seeing a lot of red flags on the offensive side of the ball right now. There are a lot of questions with the passing game and the ability of the passing game to be as prolific and as successful as they're going to need it to be if they're to get where fans are hoping they're going to get to, which, by the way, they're not going there. I told a couple of fans yesterday I would not be booking flights to Santa Clara in February just yet. I would absolutely hold off on those plans. So yeah, that's just where we're at. And look, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. Defense looks quick. The secondary looks fantastic. I can't really speak to pass rush right now. It's too early. I need to see at least 3 practices in pads. So next week's show, don't miss it. We'll really get into, the nitty gritty there. But when I am seeing the basics, and I'm talking the basics, they're struggling to do that, Nick, in helmets, jerseys, and shorts in late July. Yeah. I'm a little, and I think part of the issue is, and we're going to talk about this morning. I got to be honest with you. I don't think this 4-man quarterback competition was the way to go.
I agree with you. I've had this thought, and it's kind of replayed through my head ad nauseum. They put, with this 4-man quarterback competition, each and every one of those individuals into a bad spot for their own reason. For Kenny Pickett, who was the first guy that they went out there and got, if this was supposed to be a big reclamation project for him this year, and they think that he could be their version of Sam Darnold this year, well, you kind of screwed that up when you went and got another veteran in Joe Flacco, because that's kind of the same story for Joe. So now then you bring in Joe, and he's already at a disadvantage because you probably like Kenny better, and because that's the guy that you brought in first. So he's at a disadvantage there.
Yep.
Then the rookies, Dylan Gabriel is a 3rd-round pick who probably should have been a 6th-round pick, and his physical limitations are well documented, being just 5'11", being a left-handed quarterback. You overdrafted him, which is already setting his NFL career up for loftier expectations than what we should have. Oh, yeah, and then, by the way, 50 slots later, you're going to draft the most polarizing 5th-round pick in the history of the NFL draft, who's the 4th-string quarterback in a situation that just doesn't make any sense. And then this guy's not even being allowed to play with the to play with the ones to see if he can be any good in Shedeur Sanders. Like,
forget play with the ones. He's not even getting reps in regular drills.
What I've realized is
at times he is getting, but you know what I'm saying? Like there are certain situations in drills where he's not getting the opportunity. Like yesterday for 7-on-7 red zone, they sent him over to his own field. Okay. there are reps in practice where he's throwing to ball boys.
Yeah.
Like that. Look, I realize, the jokes write themselves when it comes to the Browns sometimes, and I go a little overboard with the comedy. I am for once being sincere. I am not being a smart aleck. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to dunk on anyone or what, but there are legit, they run out of receivers. And so
like 2 days into practice, by the way.
I'm just talking. I'm just talking in general when they're doing the warm up individuals where the quarterbacks are throwing to running backs, tight ends, and receivers. They get through that, and Shedeur comes up. There's nobody left to throw to, and so he's throwing to the ball boys or the equipment guys or an assistant coach.
No, what I've realized is we've spent so much time, energy, effort, emotion debating this 4-man quarterback race and what direction this thing should go into. What I've realized here is that none of this makes any sense at all. Like, if you take the 1,000-foot view on this thing, while we've spent so much time debating who's going to start week 1, at what point do we get to see the rookies? At what point do you go with the vet? Like, we've spent so much time debating that. What's been lost in it is this isn't normal. This isn't how the other 31 NFL teams are handling business or trying to evaluate quarterbacks. This is an organization that we're talking about that has struggled to identify, draft, and develop one franchise quarterback. And now they're trying to do it with 4. And at some point, Deshaun Watson's going to come off that physically unable to perform list. And Andrew Berry said it himself. And then we're going to be at 5. This is not a normal way of operating business in the National Football League. This doesn't make an iota of sense to me.
Oh, by the way, Browns lost a player to retirement. So yeah, if in case you're wondering, camp's going great. My early impression, and I will concede, I will admit, it might be a little bit of an overreaction, Nick, from me. But I mean, I stopped counting how many training camps this is for me.
Right.
But I've seen enough to know what to look for. And my early gut feeling is I do see some red flags with this team on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're okay. Mason Graham has looked good early, but again, they're in helmets, jerseys, in shorts.
Right.
The perspective, right? I can't wait to see him with pads on. Right?
I also think, Daryl, as well, 2 things can be true with the early evaluation of this team at camp. We spent a lot of last week's show telling people you can't really look into the first couple of days of practice because it's
and then
installs.
I'm sitting here looking
They're
into the first couple of days of practice.
Out. However, that's the other side of the conversation. You have been around the block and done this a lot of times.
I've seen some stuff. That's what's going to be on my tombstone. It's going to have my name, the years that I was here, and then it's just going to say, saw some stuff in air quotes, and stuff may not be the word that I choose to use.
But like last season, you were one of the only people that were that was saying, like, you were throwing up red flags about the offense. You were the one saying that, like, hey, Deshaun Watson and Kevin Stefanski might not be this Drew Brees, Sean Payton pairing that we thought we were signing up for.
Yeah, I teased it going into the break there. Browns did lose a player.
Yeah,
already. They dodged a bullet. Cedric Tillman got dinged up during Friday's practice. A leg injury, was right back out there yesterday. So that was great to see. As Kevin Stefanski put it, they dodged a bullet there. So good news there. Not so good news. I mean, as a human being, happy for him.
Yeah.
Wish him the best. I totally understand, respect. And that is the retirement of Jordan Hicks, the linebacker, the veteran linebacker. I'm going to tell you this. He did not blindside the Cleveland Browns. Okay. I know that there's a little bit there might be the potential for a perception out there that, like, he blindsided the Browns. I'm going to tell you, it wasn't shocking to them that this ultimately ended up being his decision. 216-474-0092. Let's head out to Lakewood. Good morning, Jeff. You're first up on the Fan. How you doing, bud?
What's going on, Nick? Daryl, man, great job, man. I look forward to hearing y'all every Sunday, man. Y'all do an outstanding job.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jeff.
But Nick, I want to thank you, man, for acknowledging what I've been preaching for the last umpteen years. And Daryl, you made an excellent point. You said the red flag, and you said you got 4 eyes. I got 4 eyes too. Remember I told you, Daryl? This was Jeff from Lakewood told you. Trust what you see, not what you hear.
Absolutely.
And we don't want to, man, keep like coming down on the Browns and the situation with Jordan Nix and Andrew Berry, man. We got to trust, man, the evidence we've been having the last 25 and 30 years. And Daryl Ryder, I got so much respect for you, man, because you one of the guys that really speak truth, man. And people don't like me on Browns Nation, think I'm always being negative, man. This team would never win, man. All you're going to get from the Browns is losing, man. They is a contaminated franchise. They would never win. They'll make a wild card and make a divisional round. This team would never win, man. You got a general manager can't even pick a decent receiver. We got 2 first-round picks. The Sean Watson situation, trying to get our picks back. We got our picks and we got Jacksonville picks. If you had that man pick them 2 first-round picks, you're going to dig a bigger hole you already in. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you don't want to be trapped.
Yeah, I hear you, Jeff, and thanks so much for the call.
Boy, I'm calling for jobs before the season even begins here on the Fan.
Yeah, can we play 6 games first? But no, I understand. Look,
first 6.
I understand where Jeff is coming from. I feel his pain, and I understand why and how he feels the way he does. I get it.
Me too. These fans are sick of waiting. Anthony Allant and I took a lot of calls yesterday when we were in for Earl DePearl and Spencer German. And like to only have been through 3 days of camp and for the most part, fans haven't even been able to see this with their own 2 eyes, but they're reading the reports of, you and all of the great people that cover the team. Like, people are fed up, dude. People are sick of waiting. Like, we started the show saying, don't book your trip to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. That's not what people want to hear. This is a GM and a head coach that inherited a roster with Baker Mayfield on his rookie deal, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. You beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. People are fed up. Like, you mentioned 6 games, Daryl. Look at the first 6. Like they got to find a way to win some ball games because people have had it with this regime. And I don't blame them. It's time to start winning some games, and it's time to get serious.
Here's what I'll say. By the way, I got to correct your geography. They're not going to San Francisco. They're going to Santa Clara, which is the equivalent of going to Canton, Ohio in comparison to Cleveland. So for all you people that are clutching your pearls because the Browns want to build 12 miles from downtown Cleveland, could have done what the 49ers did and just gone to Canton, gone down there to Stark County and said, hey, can we build our stadium down here? So just a little perspective for you there. Look, here's the thing that I do struggle with. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are good men. They really are. At their core, they're good, quality, intelligent, non-emotional men. And the Browns haven't had much of that since 1999. Sports in general, but especially the National Football League, when you get to this level, it's emotional. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Losing eats away at Kevin Stefanski. I can promise you that. It bothers Andrew Berry. I can promise you that. And I know fans will sit there and say, that just doesn't matter or it's meaningless to me because I look at what's on the field. But I'm just saying, they've also made the playoffs twice in their regime. Right. Okay. So let's not sit here and act like that this has been an unmitigated disaster. This is not Freddie Kitchens, John Dorsey 2.0. This is not a lot of the previous regimes. This is not Mike Pettin and Ray Farmer 2.0.
I think people are upset, though, because you've got 4 quarterbacks here. You don't know really what the game plan is with that. The season was probably over when you traded away the opportunity to draft Travis Hunter.
I got to stop you there for a second, though. Okay, and look, like you're the junior Shishil on the station. Nobody's topping Jonathan Peterlin, okay? Jonathan Peterlin is chief Shishil. You're junior Shishil, okay? I was probably that equivalent for Travis Hunter going into the draft. However, from January to February, the only reason I jumped on the Travis Hunter train was because like every time I come on the station, whether it was with the morning guys, the midday guys, everyone's just trying to bully me to pick a guy. Like, give me your guy in the draft that you're absolute have to have guy, right? And I'll admit, Mason Graham never came out of my mouth. But I think Mason Graham's a hell of a player, and I think he's going to be very, very good for these guys. Knock on wood, everything goes well. Health-wise, right? And he doesn't have anything that sidetracks him. But Travis was my guy. But in January and February, I kept saying if I were Andrew Berry, I would flip the number 2 pick to stay in the top 10, get me a 2026 first-round pick. So now I got 2 of them. And then I'm going to throw in my 2027 first-rounders so I can go get, and I realize you got it 2 to tango. You have to have somebody willing to take that 3-for-1 first-round pick deal. And, of course, you're going to throw some sweetener picks in there too, right? But the other tentacle, too, is you have to hope that whoever has that number 1 pick next year does not need a quarterback.
Right.
Like, that's the other piece to this equation. So, basically, anyone and everyone that the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing this fall, Browns fans, you're rooting hard for them. Like,
but I think that's why people are upset. Like, we have 17 regular season games and 3 preseason games to play this year. We've got 20 football games in front of us, and we're already talking about, like, you heard Colin Cowherd this week talking about Arch Manning and that potential of Arch Manning to Cleveland. Like, dude, we've got 20 football games that we've got to get through. Arch Manning has to go through an entire college football season, actually be good, and then decide that he wants to come out and play in the National Football League for an organization like the Browns if they are going to have the number 1 overall pick or be able to package their 2 first-round picks to get to that number 1 overall pick. Like, we've got 20 games to go here, and the organization is kind of telling us they don't matter a whole lot because we've got 2 first-round picks in 2026, and that's when we're going to find our quarterback.
Well, they do believe. I can tell you this: they think they can win with what they have. Okay. Now there is the facetious side of me, the smart aleck in me, who sits there and says, well, duh, you better. You have to talk yourself into it, right? Yeah, you have to believe that. You can't go into the season thinking that you have failed before you have failed, right? But like, I honestly, I don't know. Like, and you're right. Maybe I am overreacting 4 practices in. Maybe I am putting the cart before the horse. But this is where I'm going with this right now. The 4-man quarterback competition thing was the wrong thing to do, and it was also the wrong messaging this offseason. I think they blew it. And I'm not going to kill them for it because I get why they did it, okay? But I think they blew it this offseason. From my view, here's what the messaging should have been to fans. We're going to pick between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, the 2 veterans, to start for us. We drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. We drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. Our job is to develop those 2 players, not to play them immediately. However, if one of those 2 players shows us something during the offseason, shows us something during training camp that makes them worthy of being our starting quarterback in week 1, we're willing to leave the door open. But this is between Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. That's the quarterback competition. Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, they're here. They're going to be on the football team. Part of our job this year, aside from winning football games, is going to be to develop both of those young men.